Transitions and resiliency. Making the change or transitioning into daycare, into preschool, and into elementary school can make children and parents uneasy. It is normal to feel this way when encountering a new environment, unfamiliar people, and a different routine. As the following podcast shows, there are steps parents can take to prepare their children and themselves to make these transitions as smooth as possible.
So what are some of the ways that parents can help get their child ready for junior kindergarten or senior kindergarten if they've never before been enrolled in a structured preschool or daycare setting?
Okay, well, I think the most important thing is that parents listen to their children. Children have ideas about what kindergarten is going to be like, so if parents can just listen to their child talk about his or her feelings. If parents can inform themselves about what kindergarten is going to be like, either by visiting the kindergarten, attending welcome and information sessions, and getting themselves knowledgeable, then they can help talk their child through it. Communicating with the teacher in advance is another fantastic strategy, and many teachers offer that. Our research has shown that children who've been through kindergarten say that getting to know the rules is the most important piece of kindergarten. So if children can know what the rules are, like where to hang up their coats and where to go to the washroom and how to get the teacher's attention and how they're going to have their snack, if they can know all those things, that relieves their stress in a big way. They just want to know what to expect. There are many wonderful books available on starting school. If parents can read those books with their child, there are many funny stories and many stories that really get inside the head of young children. I guess another important piece is if parents cannot convey their own feelings of anxiety about their children starting school, that goes a long way to help their child. When parents have a hard time letting go, children then have a hard time letting go as well.
So for children who have been in preschool or nursery programs, but not in daycare, do they need any extra transitioning to ease into junior kindergarten or senior kindergarten?
Yes, well, preschool or nursery programs are often 2 mornings a week or 2 afternoons a week, whereas junior, senior kindergarten most likely is every day, either half a day or all day. So that's one piece that is worth talking about. It's also important to hear what children think kindergarten will be like, to rehearse with them what the new routines will be like, how those routines will be similar, or how they'll be different from what they've experienced in preschool or nursery school. In addition, the preschool program may have followed a particular philosophical orientation with a particular curriculum focus, such as Waldorf or Montessori or Froebel, that type of thing, whereas the kindergarten program is more likely to follow the teacher's own philosophical orientation, and he or she will use the Ontario curriculum document or provincial document to guide his or her program. So I would say the philosophical orientation might lend a significant difference as well.
For children who are or have been in full day care and will be going to kindergarten for part of the day, what can parents do to help them make the transition into kindergarten?
Right, so here we're talking about a full day program for children, whether they're in childcare kindergarten in one site or whether they're in childcare kindergarten in 2 different sites. It's really good to talk about change before it happens. Even when the childcare is located in the same school as the kindergarten, there will be questions in children's mind about how they're going to get from their childcare to the kindergarten, and what's going to be the same and what's going to be different. They have many questions about the similarities and differences. So if parents can get the answers to those questions and talk with the child ahead of time about it, that's very helpful. Typically in kindergarten there would be more children, for instance, than there would be in childcare because of the ratio. So if parents can slant that positively to say that, you'll have even more opportunity to develop friendships in kindergarten. Another factor that sometimes parents are concerned about is rest time. Although it's not as common anymore, even in childcare, for children to have rest time or nap time. Certainly, if an individual child or a group of children needs a rest, that would be provided in childcare, but it would also be provided in kindergarten through a quiet area in the class, maybe with pillows, where children can lie down for a few moments. And as children get older or develop throughout the kindergarten year, the teachers can adjust their rest and activity programs accordingly. Another factor is that childcare often involves being driven to the locale, so parents drive their child to childcare, whereas in kindergarten they may walk to the community school. So that's a difference that children should have a chance to talk about. The big school involves kids of other grade levels, sometimes kindergarten to grade 8 or even grade 12. And so knowing that there will be kids of other age groups, older kids in the school, is something to talk about. One of the most important pieces is the bus. From my own research, children talk about that more than anything else, and then I take the bus, and then I take the bus. So that's because it's a big issue for them, getting on the bus, getting off the bus, who's going to take me to the bus, who's going to pick me up from the bus. So going over those routines are very important. And I guess a final point would be that Ontario at least is moving to full-day early learning for 4- and 5-year-olds. So this is going to be blended childcare kindergarten, co-taught by an early childhood educator and a kindergarten teacher. And so children in that program are not going to be experiencing transitions in the same way.
So what are some ways that families can transition into childcare at different ages?
Well, first, it's helpful if parents can understand what constitutes good quality childcare. And one example of that would be that the early childhood educators have training in early child development. That's probably one of the most important features of good quality childcare. Visiting the childcare ahead of time together is great. So if parents can get in and see what the space looks like and talk to the early childhood educators, then they can know what to expect. Even very young children, infants, want to know what to expect. They want to know that when they give a signal or if they have a need, that someone is going to respond to them. If parents can reassure their child, especially if the child is old enough to use words, then to listen to the child and hear what the child has to say and reassure the child. In the case of a child as a young infant, parents can let the early childhood educators know what their child's unique needs may be. This could be biological needs, such as when to be fed and diapering routines and what the sleep and awake time schedules might be. That's very helpful for the early childhood educator to know a child's unique biological needs. And another one is temperament. So the goodness of fit is quite important here. So if early childhood educators understand that a child might be slow to warm up, that is, may be fine with strangers but needs some time, then that early childhood educator can plan for that child's program accordingly. With toddlers, there'd be less sleeping time and more awake and usually busy time. Young toddlers are not often able to keep sustained attention at a quiet activity for a long time. So if parents can help early childhood educators to understand the kind of arousal levels of their toddler, what kinds of things might attract her attention or his attention, that can help the early childhood educator to plan. Food and nutrition are critical components, so clearly parents helping the early childhood educators to know food preferences, dislikes, of course allergies, and their child's eating patterns. Talking about the child's temperamental style and attachment behavior is important for this reason. Many parents feel undue stress and guilt when their child cries at their departure. But if they are assured that this is a very typical kind of behavior, kind of response on the part of children, and that early childhood educators are well trained to take care of that, then parents can go off to work or school feeling assured that their child is in good hands.
For children from families whose first language isn't English, will they need extra help? And what can their parents do to help them transition?
It's really helpful when schools are able to make that extra effort to reach out to families in the community, especially to newcomers to Canada. Those who are recent immigrants may not speak English as a first language, and so language issues are important to them. If the school hasn't contacted the family, then the family should contact the school. I really recommend this because it's important for families to get into the school and learn about school in their new country as soon as they can. Schools can get translation help if that's needed, if the families are not comfortable enough in English. Parents need to know what to expect so that when they're communicating with their child, they can do so in their home language and reassure their child about what to expect as their child transitions to school. And parents can also learn by contacting the school how to stay in regular contact with the school, even though they don't speak English. Many schools have organized programs for families to get involved, to stay involved. We know that once they're involved early, they tend to stay involved throughout the child's schooling. Parents will learn the strategies that teachers use in the classroom to help their child who doesn't speak English. For instance, being able to interpret hand gestures, and the parent can reassure their child that soon they will be able to understand enough English. Often schools set up a system whereby children in the school who speak the child's language are able to come in and help the child, especially early on in the year. And teachers will typically arrange for special friends, either special friends in the class, same age friends who speak the same language so they can do activities together, or maybe cross-grade friends, buddies, older buddies in the school who speak the language. The most important thing is for children to understand that teachers do care about them and they will always try to help them.
Are there any academic preparations that parents should make as their child is starting kindergarten?
I think the biggest academic preparation is motivation. And I could give an example from reading. So if parents engage in reading activities at home and show children that reading is fun and is something that parents value, then children are more likely to be motivated to read or to want to read or engage in literacy activities. And that goes for other areas as well, numeracy and scientific exploration. So motivation would be my number one recommendation to parents. We know that parents' interest in children's learning is associated with what their children actually learn. So just talking about school is very important. But apart from this kind of academic preparation, if you will, parents should get other kinds of information. For instance, should their child bring a snack to school? What kind of clothes should their child wear to participate in all kinds of activities that take place in kindergarten, such as outdoor play or in the gym, clothes that they can romp around in and be comfortable in. Another preparation that parents can help with their child is to foster independence. For instance, learning how to take off winter clothing or put on winter clothing. This helps the teacher a great deal, and it also gives children a sense of self-esteem that they can be independent. And something that we often overlook is just getting their child to school on time. This is important. It shows that there's a value in punctuality. It helps the teacher who's already begun the morning or afternoon activities, and the child doesn't then miss out on some important part of the activity, such as a story reading. So in conclusion, I would say that transition to school is not just about getting children ready to start school. In fact, I don't like to see readiness as something that's within the child. Transition to school is really a step along the continuum of life, and it begins in infancy when babies learn how to self-regulate through interactions with responsive caregivers. When babies learn how to manage their feelings, they can adjust their behavior to cope with transitions, such as absences from the parent, or meeting new people, or visiting new places, or starting childcare. And transition to school is easier for children who've learned how to cope with change. These children are more able to engage deeply in their play and to learn from play experiences. And transition to kindergarten is more than just a child starting school. It involves the family's transition into a new environment, and it involves the school's participation in welcoming children and families. So active outreach by schools to welcome families can go a long way to facilitating the transition. Families' willingness to become involved in their child's education is equally important. We know that when parents become involved early on, they stay involved throughout the child's schooling. Our research supports this, and we know that although the form of parent involvement may change as the child gets older, it is nevertheless important for parents to stay engaged. Just talking about school has been shown to have benefits for children's learning. So the message is not only for parents to become involved and stay involved, but for schools to reach out and to welcome all families so that the school can become the hub of the community.